Hi, I'm Danielle with Stitch and Designs. Welcome to my channel. For today's tutorial, it is going to be a special one. It is for the subscription box for K&A only. And so if you are a subscriber for the K&A boxes, you guys are going to flip for this bag. Deathly Hallows! This thing is awesome. Okay, first, look at this vinyl. I am in love with the vinyl. It is just like, and what's cool about it, it's not their normal vinyl. The feel of it, just the touch, like, it's not their normal vinyl that they get. So this is a special vinyl that they do once in a while. I'm hoping that they start carrying it more often because I love it. I love this vinyl. Like, I want it in like different textures, different colors. It is just, it's great. It's great vinyl. I love it. So best part about this, besides the vinyl and all the, look at all the freaking hardware. Like the webbing is embossed too. Like, this thing is just freaking amazing. But the best part, it freaking lights up. Oh my gosh. So you guys are probably going to be geeking out just as much as I am, hopefully, if you're a Harry Potter fan. If you're not, I hope you just geek out over the fact that the vinyl and just like everything about it is just super awesome. But so I created the pattern. This pattern is all me. It was definitely a labor of love because trying to get it from me, because I don't know how to do it on a computer. So to get it from paper to Alex to make sure that everything fit right. It's been interesting because it's just like a really odd shape, and then also my lack of knowledge on how to be computer based to send her like a PDF of it rather than just a photo like of paper. So I just want to let you guys know now my pattern piece versus the jelly, which is what you guys are going to use as your template to cut out the exterior and the lining piece. Those two were slightly off of each other, and I was going off of measurements and seam allowances based on my paper pattern and everything. So things didn't quite work out completely, but it does work out in the end. Clearly, it does work out in the end. So so make sure in the beginning, read your screen, because you do need to cut your own binding, and then some of the seam allowances change, and I do voiceovers to let you know of those changes and everything, so just be aware. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. I hope you guys love your Deathly Hallows bag as much as I do. So let's get to it. Okay, so when you guys get your Deathly Hallows kit, it's going to come looking like this. So you get the embossed vinyl. Oh gosh, this is so pretty. This is really pretty. All right, let's open it up and take a better look at it. Sticky stuff. Oh my gosh. That's gorgeous. That is just totally gorgeous. I like the feel of this. It just feels really cool. Okay, so there's that. We got a roll of embossed vinyl. We have our lining, which is kind of like the different scenes from the different tales of the Deathly Hallows and the brothers. That's really cool. I like that a lot. This whole kit is freaking awesome. Right, and then the piece de resistance. Did I even say that right? I think I said that right. Oh my gosh, there we go. Sticky stuff. All right, here we go. Our front, our light up. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. All right. I love it. This is going to be so freaking awesome. Okay, so there's going to be a few things that you guys are going to need to do. You guys are going to, first, you need to cut out this on your jelly. Okay, And then once you guys get that cut out, or I'll get it cut out and then I'll show you guys what we need to do next. Okay, now that you guys have your front jelly cut out, what we're gonna do is this is going to be our template to be able to cut the rest of our pieces that we need in this shape. So we're going to need one back and only one lining, okay? Because it's a jelly front, you don't need to put a lining, you're not gonna put a lining onto the front. So non-directional vinyl, love that. So we're just going to lay our jelly right down on top. Okay. And then you're just going to cut that out. Okay, so now that we got our backing done, so we got our front and our back. So now we can use the back piece because it wants to lay a little bit flatter. So let's go ahead and cut the rest of our exterior pieces. So I'm going to start with the gusset. So I'm flipping it over so that way I can make some marks because my ruler only is 24 inches long and you need to, oh man. I was hoping that it would fit right here, but it does not, but I can use my zipper gusset, put my zipper gusset down there. So 2.5 inches wide by 18.25 inches long is going to be your zipper gusset. So again, that is 18.25 inches wide by long, 18.25 long, and 2.5 inches wide. Okay, so mine goes a little long on this end, so I'll just trim that down. There they are. I'm like, where'd they go? All right, so we got one of our zipper gussets. Long section. I'm going to go to this. No, I'm going to start. I'll go over here. So we're going to go 5 inches wide. And then at the end of it, depending on how long your ruler is, make a mark there because we'll need to extend past it. So go ahead and cut this end and up into your length that you have. So again, mine is 24 and we need 27.5. So we got 24, 25, 26, 27.5. I can't tell you guys how many times I have managed to miscount that and screw up my cutting. Alright, so we got our 27.5 inch gusset. Yeah, this bag is kind of big. If you can't guess by this, just the length of the gusset and the zipper gusset. But it's not obnoxiously huge, but it is a good size rectangle. Definitely very usable. Alright, and then we're going to cut our other zipper gusset. Again, that is 2.5 inches wide. And I'm cutting kind of funky because I want to try to salvage this, so I'm going to go this way. I can see. All right, so again, it is 18.25 inches long and 2.5 inches wide. Okay, so we have, so currently looking at our cuts, we have our front cut out, we have our back, we have both of our zipper. Yeah, so in case you couldn't see, so going over our cuts real quick, we have our front, our back, our 2 zipper gussets, and our gusset. So that is currently what we have cut. So that pretty much is our exterior, minus we will need our tabs. Oh, it's only 1.5 inches wide. Bummer, because if that was 2 inches, that would have been perfect. Okay, let's see what we got in our hardware. So, slight detour real quick. So we got zipper tape. We have our jelly binding. We have embossed webbing. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. That webbing is freaking awesome. We have our EL wire lights. So you will need a 2.5, or not 2.5, I saw the 1.5. You will need 2 AA batteries for this. Ah, there are strap connectors. Okay, cool. So there's hardware strap connectors. And then the little triangles. Those are super cool. Love those. And this is antique hardware. Pull all these guys out. And then we have our antique silver. So then we got our swivel clasps. We got 2 zipper pulls. We got our slide adjuster. And then deathly hollow zipper pulls. I love it. Everything like coordinates so good. I love it. Check out these zipper pulls. Oh, I love these. Love, love, love. Super awesome. Oh, these kits are fantastic. Actually, I'm going to put it back in the bag because otherwise I will start losing stuff. There we go. Keep it all together. I almost, at this point, I almost need to get some like those Apple AirTags and put them in the bags with the hardware because I tend to misplace things. And so then at least I can find it that way. It would be kind of hilarious too, but let's go back into this. And we're going to cut out 4 inches by 3 inches. So the 4 inches will then get cut in half. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And then the 3 inches will be our length for our strap connectors. Yep. Boop. And cut that down in half. So we got our strap connectors. Okay, so that technically finishes off all of our exterior pieces. I was like, wait, the strap, or the crossbody. I'm like, but we have webbing. So we have a decent amount of extra. Like, you could totally make another bag with this. Maybe not another triangle, but you could totally make another bag. Oh yeah, my brain is already thinking like, what bag can I make? I can make a Fiona. Ooh, a Fiona would be pretty. Maybe an As You Wish. Ooh, an As You Wish would be nice. Okay, focus. I am focusing on the task at hand. I can do this. All right, so then the pieces that we did cut will then can become our things for figuring out where to cut for this. I'm actually going to take a moment and I'm going to then press the waterproof canvas because I want to make sure that I'm getting the correct sizes, and with the, even when I flatten it out, it still has the creases, so I want to make sure to press this first and then I'll come back and then we can go over the cutting. All right, now that I got this all pressed, we can continue working on getting everything cut out. So I've got my rectangle, and then just double check that you're making sure that this is facing the correct direction, because that would kind of suck to cut it out and have it be going the wrong way. If you want to do a slip pocket, which I think I'm going to do a slip pocket, in this little upper section right here that we cut next to the triangle is a great area to be able to utilize this space so you're not wasting the material that's down here. So I'm going to do a slip pocket, and I'm going to make my slip pocket a 6x7. So that is 7 inches, or no. Yes. So 7 inches wide by 6 inches tall. So it's because it is a directional paint, you want to make sure that you're cutting it in the correct direction. So again, that is 7 inches wide by 6 inches tall. So I'm going to cut 2 of those out. All right, so we got our slip pocket cut out, so we're good there. And then the pocket will also be good to use for the pouch for where your battery pack will go into. So if you are going to do a zipper pocket, yes, you could put your battery pack into the zipper pocket. It's a little more work to do it that way. So I just suggest, so rewinding, I suggest just doing a slip pocket. If you want to do an additional zipper pocket, you can do an additional zipper pocket, but for all intents and purposes for this bag, I do recommend just doing a slip pocket because it will be a lot easier getting somewhere where your battery pack can go into. So now that we've got that down, we can cut the rest of our stuff out. Oh, beautiful. It fits right in there. I like it. So go ahead, I am cutting my gusset in the lining. It does kind of have a little bit of a stretch to it, so just in case, I'm going to actually just flip it around and cut it from this side, just in case. Dokily. I'm just going to go all the way across because it pretty much will take up the whole thing anyway. All right, now I can actually cut my 5 inches here. That looks good, and I don't want it to get the mark to be seen from the other side because it's a light color, just in case. So I'll use pencil. Oh, mark shows up. All right, so again, it's 5 inches wide. I'm just going to cut the whole thing across, and then we can cut it down. There we go. Okay, so then we got our mark for, or at least my mark is for 24. So then 25, 26, 27 and a half. So we got our 27 and a half. Oh yeah, barely had anything left on the line. How much was that? Not even an inch. So not even an inch on that end. So we got our gusset. Wonderful. Oh, that other gusset over there. And my scrap. You can go over there. Kind of keep it organized. Doesn't always work. All right, and then for our zipper gussets, I'm just going to cut them together in the overall like width. So we're going to do 5 inches, and for the zipper gussets, it's going to be 18 1/4 So we're doing 5 inches wide, which we'll cut down after we get the length. And our length is 18 and a quarter inches long, 5 inches wide. So this is our leftovers, so we can go ahead and roll that up. Save that for a rainy day. All right, and then we got our 5-inch wide piece here. We're going to cut that in half at 2.5. I was like, I would hope they'd be even. All right, so going over our cuts right now, what we have, bring it all back. All right, we got our front. We have our strap connectors. We have our exterior zipper gussets. We have our lining zipper gussets. We have our exterior gusset. We have our lining gusset. We have our slip pocket, which is 6 inches tall by 7 inches wide, and we have 2 of those pieces. We have our back exterior and our lining back. All right, so we got pretty much, we're almost done finished with the cutting portion. The only thing we have left now to cut is going to be our stabilizer. Because of the size of this bag, I will be using Decovil Heavy for this one. And it does have a large zipper opening, so it is fairly easy to turn this bag out when we're all said and done. So I'm gonna borrow, we'll use the lining. No, I'm gonna use the exterior. So we're going to borrow this piece again. And where's my Decovil Heavy? Another option, if you do not have Decovil Heavy, another option that you can do, it will change the overall feel and structure of the bag, but I don't think would be a bad option, is to use foam. So, and you can, I'd recommend probably the sew-in foam, or if you do you can do the fusible foam as well, and then just, if you kept it in your seam allowance, it's not gonna be that big of a deal. This isn't the thickest vinyl in the entire world, so it's thinner than the marine vinyl that I use for other things. So, which is nice. So it's not going to be ridiculously bulky on your seams if you keep it in the foam in your seam allowances, because that does kind of squish down pretty good. But the foam would be an interesting alternative if you don't already have like Decovil Heavy. So I would like to see if anybody does the foam. If you do foam, yeah, I'd love to see that, and make sure to tag me in that. But I'm just going to use my Decovil for now. Okay, where's my cutter? Go. Lay it out. One bad part about using this stuff is the waves. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm getting the general shape of the triangle, because I definitely do not want to have the Decovil in my seam allowances, but I want to make sure that I have the correct size. So, and if you don't trust yourself with the Sharpie, which normally I totally do not trust myself with marking with the pretty side up, make sure you put your pretty side down so you don't accidentally mark up your exterior. But I'm kind of winging it, thinking, it's black exterior. I should be okay, I hope. Okay, so that is going to be the hardest piece to cut out for your Decovil. Okay, so this is what the triangle piece is going to look is in its full size. So what I want to do is make sure, because our seam allowance for when we do our binding on this is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we want to make sure that we're not sewing the Decoville Heavy into our seams. So we can go around and I'd say 3/8, because then it at least gets close to the edge, but it's not going to be in your seam allowance. If you feel like that's still too close for you, you can increase that to a 1/2 inch offset. So you can go around, and then I have my 1/2 inch just to show you. So this is the 1/2 inch mark from my ruler. So here's the full exterior. There's my 1/2 inch. And then if you want to do 3/8, which I think I'm going to do 3/8. So that's the difference between the 1/2 inch and the 3/8. So there is a little bit of a difference, but not a drastic difference. So just go around on your Decoville, lining up whichever one you would like to use, either one. So lining up, trying to do all the straightaways first, because then we can do the curves in a moment. Okay, so we got those straightaways done. So when you get to the curvy parts, you can turn your ruler onto its side and put the line up, and you can make little tick marks on the edge of your ruler, putting and placing them every so often, not super close together, but like kind of close together, so that way it can help you mark your curve. So I have enough here that I can just take, here we go this way, and connect my straight line through my curves. Hopefully my hand's not blocking this for you guys. And then just trace it around, and then even though that line goes past this, but just match that, kind of like get that curve going. So that is an option if you want to. You could also just kind of freehand it, and it's just like, okay, here we go. That looks pretty good. Not bad for freehanding. Yeah, not bad for freehand. Because the other option is, once you get it cut and you're going to place it and iron this onto the back of it, if you notice there that some of your corners are a little long, all you have to do is trim it off before you press it, and then you're fine. So, all right, so then go ahead and make sure to cut it out at your stabilizer mark. All right, so we got our back stabilizer and cut out. And then for our zipper gusset and our gusset stabilizer pieces, that is only just, oh, that'll work. Okay, so because we want to make sure that our stabilizer is out of our seam allowances, and because our gusset is 5 inches wide, I'm just going to do 4 inches. Just makes math easier, because I don't feel like figuring out 3/8 and 3/8. Yeah, just doing a complete inch, but then it's a 1/2 inch on each side works for me. All right, so I marked for my 24 inches. Cut that down. Will you work for the other stuff? No. Okay. You go to the I save you for later projects pile. Okay, so we got 24, 25, 26 and a half. So because it is 27.5 inches long, we're going to go an inch shorter. So we're going to go 26.5 inches. Sweet. So we got that done. There we go. And now we just need to do our zipper gusset ones. Alright, so if they are 2.5 inches wide, so do an inch shorter, so we can go an 1.5 inches wide by 17.25 inches long. And so I'm going to cut them together. So I'm going to do 1.5 inches. 1.5 is 3 inches. And then again, we're going to make sure we're doing 17.25 inches long. If you would have told my math teacher, or told me when I was in high school, that I would be doing math on a daily basis, Like even just basic math, but like fractions. Like the 1/4 inch, then knowing all the little lines on the ruler, like I would have laughed at you so hard. But yeah, here I am doing math every single day in fractions, and it's like, but it's, yeah, it's kind of funny. Okay, so we got 3 inches and we're at 17 1/4. Okay, just making sure before I cut. Yep. And now we can cut this down in half again, and this is going to be at 1.5 inches. Righty. Okay. Almost done with cutting stuff. All right, so now comes time. I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, I need to cut binding, and I'm like, no, I don't, because there's jelly binding. I literally almost was about to cut binding. I was thinking like, oh, well, okay. So our final cut count. Let's go through that one more time. I know you guys are probably over like, all right, I already got all my pieces, but just in case, bring everything back over. Okay, we have our back exterior, we have our back lining, and our back stabilizer. Back is done. Okay, cool. Bam. We have our exterior gusset. Bring it in just in case. Our lining gusset. Our gusset stabilizer. We're good. We have 2 exterior zipper gusset pieces. We have 2 lining zipper gusset pieces. We have 2 zipper gusset stabilizers. We have a zipper pocket, which are 2 pieces, and they are 6 by 7, 6 inches tall, 7 inches wide. If you wanted to do an additional zipper pocket, because the slip pocket is for the battery pack, and you can put your phone and other stuff in there as well. But if you wanted to do a zipper pocket, again, that's 8 inches wide by 7 inches tall. No. Yes. No. No, sorry, I had that backwards. 7 inches wide by 8 inches tall. So we got our zipper or slip pocket pieces, and then we have 2 strap connectors, and then we have our front jelly for the light up. Whoop, whoop. And then of course we got our baggie of all of our lovely goodies. So again, there's our binding is in there, our webbing. We have 2 strap connectors, 2 swivel clasps, 2 zippers, a slide adjuster, our EL lights, our zipper tape, and you will need 2 AA batteries. All right. I always like to make sure that my EL wire lights work beforehand, because it would kind of suck if you like put all this time and effort into putting this together, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, well my lights don't work. But then you don't know if it's because they didn't work before or if they didn't work because you hit something. So make sure to check them out beforehand. Make sure you got you check the front of this one, and that way your prongs are going into the correct side, because if you don't get that right, you could bend the wiring prongs on the one side. And it works. Waha! And then if you get it all dark, you can kind of see into my hand, that you can see in case you couldn't see them with the lights on. But we got the lights in there. Or I usually say, take it to a dark place, because then you can actually see them. We got the fast flash, slow flash, and off. Okay. Now that we know that they work, important thing, take your batteries out. Or technically no, your batteries can stay in there. Never mind, what am I doing? Your batteries can live in there, but as you're sewing this and putting it together, make sure your battery pack is disconnected from your wires. Because if you're sewing on it and it's connected, yes, technically there's no power going to it because it's not turned on, but if you accidentally hit it with your needle as you're sewing around, I don't know what it's gonna do, so be better safe than sorry. So just, oh yeah, keep the lights in there too. Just keep your battery pack off until the very end. Okay, Tinky. All right, well, that's everything. Yay! So now we can go over to, or I'm not going to take you to the iron because you guys don't need to watch me sit there and press this for freaking ever. So I will go do this on my own off camera. We will come back and I'll meet you guys at the sewing machine. Like, this is where I wanted to have like a little wand. I wish I had like a Harry Potter wand or somebody's wand and just go and like, granted, like, I don't know how to do all the fancy edits, but it's just like, and magically, and like magic, we're at the sewing machine. Well, not real magic, but at least for you guys, it's like, so it's movie magic. Or in my case, sewing magic. Whoa. Okay, I currently have gray thread already in my machine, so I'm actually going to do my slip pocket first, so that way I'm not constantly having to swap my threads out back and forth all the time. So in that case, I want to make sure that these guys are facing the same direction, which they are. And then we'll just add some clips. And you're going to sew around it at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving a gap on the bottom. And then after you got it sewn together, we're going to trim our corners. And let's turn this puppy out. And then if you guys have a turning tool, go ahead and grab that. Or if you don't, I would normally use just like a mechanical pencil. Something that has just like a little blunt end that you can get down into the corners to poke it all the way out. And apologies for if you hear the background noise. My husband's 3D printer is currently running and I don't want to turn it off while we're recording. There we go, that looks better. There we go. Make sure to kind of like roll your seams, make sure you get them all the way up so that way everything looks really nice. And then I'm going to go run this over to my iron real quick and give it a quick press. All right, got my pocket all pressed. I'm going to add a little top stitching at 1/8 of an inch. Now we're going to grab our lining, and then let's go ahead and find our center. So we're lining up our corner, find the bottom, which will be a lot easier than finding the well. So we're lining up our corners and going along the bottom, just making a little snip right in there. And then just keep the sides together. Clip just to help hold it in place. Pinch there. There we go. Okay, we're gonna find where we want our placement to be. Oh, we kind of, haha. So mine, like the bottom of this kind of lines up with, let me see if I can show you guys. Kind of lines up with the bottom of that guy, so it kind of makes it look like it matches. I have no idea if it's even centered or anything, but I'm like, I like it. I don't know what it's doing, but I like it. All right, so we got 1 inch and 3/8, or it's just under 3/8. It's in between 1/4 and 3/8, so it's right in between those. Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. And it's a tad off center. Let's bring it back over closer to center. I don't even know where center is on this thing. All right, let's put a little crease in this to figure out where center is on the pocket. Yeah, I'm just a tad off. It's not bad. Shoot, I've probably done worse before. So I'm gonna leave it where it is. Put the thread over, and then you're just going to sew that down. So you're gonna sew from the one side down, across the bottom, and up the other side, and do not sew across the top. Okay. Also, another thing that you guys need to do while we are sewing this on, you want to leave a small, like 1/4 inch gap somewhere on the bottom, preferably not where your opening is. So either to this side or to this side, and that gap is going to be there for the EL wire to go through there and to get down into the bottom to go into the seam. So make sure to leave a 1/4 inch little opening. I'm going to do mine over here. Okay, so I'm past where I open, so I'm going to back stitch there, lift my foot, skip that, slide it, there we go, go down and back, and then continue. Okay, so you can see I have a definite big enough gap. Let's go with the back of my scissors. Yeah, so that's plenty big. In all honesty, it could actually be a little bit smaller, because that's going to be plenty of room to get my EL wire to go through that. And then you can either trim your thread there or just leave it, your preference on that one. All right, so that part is done. And since we're on the inside of the bag, because I'm really good at forgetting to add these, wham, I'm going to add my business label to the inside. So I'm going to just add it somewhere up in there. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. Okay, I got my label, the pocket is on. So technically that completes the lining. So now we can base that onto our exterior, which I'm going to add little notches for the center onto this one too. Might make life a little easier. I hope they release this for general purchasing, like all this stuff, because this is gorgeous. Okay, so let's line up our notches. We're going to baste this puppy all together. And then your lining, even though we cut it matching stuff up, it still could potentially like be a little bigger. Like I feel like mine's a little bigger, which is okay. Yeah, my lining still managed to become bigger. I don't know. Apparently my cutting is not that great. All right, so I'm going to lengthen my stitch out, and now we're going to go around and baste this together at 1/8 of an inch. Once you're all done, you can go around and trim up the excess of your lining if you happen to have any. Okay, our back, let me zoom out. Our back is all finished. So we got our exterior and our lining, got our pocket. All right, we can set that aside, and now we're gonna work on our gussets. All right, for our zipper gusset, so we got our 2 lining pieces and our 2 exterior pieces. And I never remember exactly how long the zipper needs to be, but easiest way to figure that out, just take one of your zipper gussets, lay your zipper tape on it. I like to make my zipper tape go a little bit past the sides of the zipper gusset, and then once you've done that, then trim it, and voila, you have your zipper gusset. I feel like Lumiere. Totally wrong franchise and wrong movie. Or oh, what's her name? I can't remember her name. The one for the Babaton. Is that how you freaking say the name of the school? I don't know. The one with the French school for the wizards. And the one girl, I am horrible at French accents, so I'm just not even gonna try. But there is French accents in Harry Potter. Yeah, she ends up marrying one of the Weasley brothers. Bill? Yeah, I think it's Bill. The one that plays with dragons? Is that the one that plays with dragons? Oh my gosh, I need to read the books again. It's been a while since I've read them. Alright, so we're just clipping them together, lining up our edge of our zipper and our gusset. Turning my stitch length down a little bit, not all the way down to where I normally am.
And we're going to baste that on at 1/8 of an inch.
Next, we're going to grab our lining piece, and because it is a directional one, either probably going to have these go the same direction. Well, not that you're really going to notice that lining anyway, so even if they go opposite directions, you're really only going to notice the bottom gusset. So yeah, I'm just going to go that way. Okay. So make sure you line up your edge here as well as your edges here. Once you get everything, as you're going, getting it all lined up, add your clips. And then once you get your clips all added on, you're going to sew this together at a 1/4 inch seam allowance.
You can use a 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch seam allowance, and you'll see why in a little bit.
Okay, we're going to rotate this and we're going to turn and open this up, matching the wrong sides of our exterior and our lining together. So what I'm doing is, because you don't want to just tug on your zipper tape because that can cause your zipper to go wavy. What I'm doing is I'm pinching, putting my thumb down on the front, and then my fingers are kind of like pushing the lining over to make sure that the lining is flat. Another option you could do is then grab this seam and then kind of like, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting my thumb on top of it and pushing my fingers over to kind of smash that down. So I'm just doing the exterior and then finger pressing it. That way that part's all the way extended out. And then you could do the same thing to the lining. And so you're just going in reverse to do the same thing. So we're just pinching and pressing. But if you already have a way that works for you, please, by all means, do what works for you. This is just something that works for me, and we might do things a little differently, which is all good. And then finger press that. If you have one of those little fancy seam rollers, you could use one of those thingies. And once you're happy with it, we're going to slide it back under, and we're going to top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so everything that we did on this side, we're going to do to our other side. And I'm going to just double check. Ooh, can I do it this way? Will it work? Aha! Okay. So I'm kind of matching this to this. So we got the point and then that. So it kind of matches up. So I'm hoping it will look good. So I wanted to show you guys that part first. And then make sure that you line up your edges here and here, and then after that it's the same exact thing that we did on this side. All right, now that we got our gusset all finished, looking marvelous, and then as soon as we put, if yours has a little bit of a wave, like mine has a little bit up and down, but as soon as I've like put it into like the shape, it won't be as noticeable. So let's go ahead and add our zipper pulls. So make sure to take, at least this is how I do mine. I take note of what my zipper teeth look like before I pull them apart. I slide one side in just a little bit, bend my zipper tape around, add in the other, and then I look in through the back and then kind of like rearrange the tape a little bit and try to push down on my zipper pull. And then as long as when it comes out, the teeth look the same,
you will have a beautiful looking zipper every time. So go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and add this one. All right. Okay, zippers are on. Bam. Okay, we're good there. Let's grab our slide adjusters and not our slide adjusters, our strap connectors. And then we're gonna grab our strap connector vinyl pieces. We're going to find the center of them. So that will just be a 1 inch. Mark your centers. And then what you're gonna do, you can also add a piece of double-sided tape, fold the side into it, and then I'll hold it in place. If not, then we'll just sew it as is. And you're gonna sew it at 1/8 of an inch. All right, once you get them all done, we're going to go ahead and slide on your strap connectors. Get that all set. And our last one. There we go. All right, then we're gonna grab our zipper gusset again. We're going to line up our strap connector with that in the middle. So right down the middle of the zipper tape. I have, let's see how much overhang I have. I have a 1/2 inch overhang. And then you're going to just base that on 1/8 of an inch. And then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. All right, we got our strap connectors on. Oh my gosh, these things are so freaking cool. All right, now let's grab our gusset. So we're gonna start with our exterior. And we're going to lay those right sides together. And yes, now that I'm looking at my zipper gusset is definitely larger than my gusset piece. So in that case, if you guys wanted to do, because I only did a 1/4 inch, if you want to do a 3/8 inch seam allowance, I feel like that would help this fit width-wise. I feel like they would fit better together, so there wouldn't be quite that little bit of extra. But it's okay, like it's totally fine. It's still very much manageable. Wait, let me get a double check to make sure the patterns, well, it's kind of a non-directional, so never mind. So yeah, so if you guys want to do 3/8 inch on your zipper gusset, it would definitely help this part line up more. Yeah, you can see that it's definitely, the 3/8 would be better. So I will make a note to my future self, and when I go to edit this, I will put in there to do 3/8. All right, so you're gonna just base those together at an 1/8 of an inch first. And then I'm gonna flip over, and I'm just gonna do the, yeah, I'll do the other side now. So we're just gonna kind of center the gusset onto the zipper gusset. Okay. Flip that in place. And again, at the 1/8 inch. Okay, we're gonna flip it over so our lining is now facing up. And then we have making sure that our linings are going to be facing the correct direction. So those all look like they're going the right way. So we're going to put those right sides together and line up our ends. And then try to match your gusset on the other side, making sure that you're about even across the top. Clip that together. I'll get that later. And we're gonna sew this at a 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Ignore what I just said. Use a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and you guys will understand in a little bit, but you guys will see. So you make sure to use a 3/8.
Okay, we're gonna flip it over, and we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Okay, gusset is sewn together. So now what we're gonna do is turn the lining to meet up with the back side of the exterior. There we go. And then I like to make sure to pinch right here where we were just sewing on both sides. And then I clip it together to kind of hold that in place. And then do the other side. Then you're going to go around and you're going to now clip your lining gusset to your exterior gusset. And we're going to baste these all together, also all the way around, and that's going to help us with our binding. Mine doesn't want to line up nicely, so I'm rotating it. Okay, that lines up better. I don't know how it works, but sometimes having the exterior right side out or the right side in, things just line up better. I don't know how that works, but it does. All right, so once you got those all clipped together, you're gonna go around, and again, you're going to baste the lining and your exterior together. So make sure to lengthen your stitch, and you're gonna do both sides all the way around. Okay, and so now that I have it all basted together, you can definitely see how much wider this is for mine. If you did the 1/4 inch, you're gonna end up being like mine, or if you did the 3/8, it'll be smaller, or the zipper gusset might even be just like a tad bit smaller. But the way that we can fix that is we're going to gradually trim. So we're gonna start further back on the wider one, and we're going to gradually cut into the gussets. If I can get a good purchase. There we go. And I'm gradually going in, getting deeper, and then I'm going to cut through so that way it ends up being the same as the bottom gusset. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess of my lining while I'm here. Okay, and then when I go back to the other side, you can see that as I was going to try to keep my stitching in a line, I went, I think I don't remember if I went from this side, and I just stayed in that line and then gradually came back out to meet the edge of that one. So now going from this way, I'm gonna cut in so it's even with my gusset. And I'm cutting my zipper gusset, and I'm going farther back in there, and I'm slowly getting smaller and smaller, so it's a gradual to go back out to that one, because if you just do a hard one, it's still going to play a factor into your seam allowance when you go to stitch this all together. Yeah, just trim up if you have any overhang on your lining, trim that off. And again, same thing, I'm just going from the zipper gusset side, going out from further away, trying to get it, there we go. And just trim it in. There we go. That one's a little bit more dramatic of a cut in, but not too bad. Okay, let's check our last one. Yep, trim off some lining. And this one will be easy. We just keep going straight across and then slowly go back out. And there we go. All right, so that is our zipper gusset. All right, or now it's our gusset. This is our gusset. All right, we're gonna find our centers first. So line up our center seams right here. I like to put some clips there to hold it. And we're gonna go all the way to we're gonna do the top on both sides. And make sure you do the bottom on both sides. grab our front. Nope, sorry, I lied. I'm so used to starting with the front, but the front is something we haven't found our centers on. So let's find our center on the front first. But we are going to be starting with our back because that is where the side that the wire has to be on. So we have to make sure that we get the wire in first. There we go. Well, at least we got the notches done for the front, so that part is good. We can grab our back part. And then because again, this is the outside is non-directional, but the inside kind of has a direction. So I think when I look into the bag, if I'm looking at the front, so if this is a crossbody and I have it against me and I open the bag, and let's say the front's on this side. When I look in, do I want to see it from this direction, or because if I go in from the front, do I want to see it? Yeah, I think I'm going to put the design to where if you're looking from the front, so if this is the front, and when you look inside, it's the correct direction, or it would be the right way. So yes, I'm going to do that. So the back is going to go on this side. I know, lots of decisions you got to make. Wait, what am I doing again? Okay, so wait, the back there, because I'm going to confuse myself when I turn this out. Wait, what side am I doing again? Okay, so we got that. And then we're going to take our exterior and make sure that we have exterior to exterior. Yep, so right sides are together. We're going to line up our bottom notches. Add some clips there. There we go. And then we're going to line up our top notch. And then it goes right into the curve. So just add a few clips to the top. And then if you are more comfortable with adding snips, you totally can add snips to this. Just make sure they're not super big, because if you go too big, then they can show once you get do the final binding on the bag. So I'd probably do only 1/8 inch, less than 1/4 inch. So they'd be kind of small. So make sure to go all the way around, and you're gonna add clips to make sure to line everything up. Okay, so little honesty, I got it all clipped together, but I don't like the way that it's coming together. So when I got this, I double checked the front little jelly against my original pattern piece that I did, and it was slightly off. So I was like, I was going off of my original pattern, all the measurements, all the seam allowances, everything. So the gusset one that's totally my fault. I goofed on that one, so that's totally me. But this and the gusset not matching, it's easier. So I'm gonna undo it. I'm gonna make a note in this video to use a 3/8 inch seam allowance here instead of the 1/4 inch, because then it'll make it a nice fit. Otherwise, right now I'd have to force it to fit, and I don't want it to make it look funky. So it's easier for me to change the seam allowance here than to try to make that pattern piece print exactly like the pattern. It's never gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. So it's easier on my end. So I will make the correction in the video that this needs to be done at a 3/8 inch. So you guys will know ahead of time before this script. So then you just get to watch this after the fact and see that I'm trying to make the correction. So I'm gonna undo this, and unfortunately I have to pick off the basting stitch, and for this reason, this is why I don't like to top stitch here. I absolutely hate it, because sometimes no matter how good you cut and the pattern pieces are, for some reason, some things don't want to always line up. And then if I pick here, then potentially those stitches will show on the marks on the vinyl, especially if it's vinyl. So this is why I don't like to top stitch here. But now that I know it will fit, I could, but it's all good. So I'm gonna make the corrections. I'm gonna fix all of this, and then we'll continue on. All right, I got the gussets redone 3/8 inch, it fits beautifully. Fits perfect. So again, I will make that note in when I first start going over this to do 3/8, and I'll make a change on my pattern side. Yeah, I'll make a note on my side, even though it might be different because that's I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, so now we're going to go around and we're going to baste this all together at a 1/8 inch seam allowance, and you can have your stitch length a little bit longer than you normally would, but I wouldn't go too big. Let me get you guys zoomed in. There we go. Okay, as you guys come up to your first corner, just take your time, make sure the material that's down in front is flat. And then my hand is on the inside of the bag. It's going to, especially when I get to the corner, it's going to help me rotate the bag around. And then as you're going through the corner curve too, you can lift your foot to help relieve the pressure that's going to be on your fabric. So then because if you just kind of force it to as you're rotating, you can manipulate the fabric and it could potentially cause puckers. And then you want to make sure to keep the edge of your gusset with the edge of your exterior or your back piece. You want to keep those all lined up the best you can. And if your fabric wants to kind of kick out just a little bit, if you try to push it back in and it causes your fabric to go wavy, that potentially could cause a pucker. So I would rather have it kick out a little bit and then me have to go back in and then redo that corner than to force it to stay in line and then cause a pucker. So that's my preference. Okay, once you've got it basted all together, you're gonna just go around and, so mine didn't line up as beautifully right here, but you wanna trim off any of the pieces that stick out because that will also play a factor in your seam allowance as well. I know this corner got a little funky for me, so let's, yep, I had a little push out, which is a-okay. So I was prepping for the lights and I realized I completely forgot. Kim and I had a conversation about this, and the lights and the jelly vinyl or binding are for the front. Okay. So we are not going to be doing EL wire lights on the back of the bag. So, wow, I'm making a lot of notes for this video, more than I normally do. I apologize. I will make a note at the beginning of this video, so you will already know ahead of time. So by the time you get to this one, it'll be old news. But I will make a note that you guys will need to cut one strip of binding for the back in your preference of color, what material, whatever you want to use for it. So just one for the back. The jelly that you get in your little box will be for the front, and the lights will go on just the front. But we still need to insert the lights on the back first. So we still did the process correctly. So I'm gonna go cut myself another piece of binding and I'll be right back. Okay, got my binding piece for the back now. But we are gonna wanna put in our EL wire, and we can technically, yeah, let's do it afterwards. Because it's not gonna make, it would just kind of be in the way if we tried to do it now. All right, so pick a spot, any spot. And we're just going to add our binding. So whichever type of binding you are using, if you're doing waterproof canvas like myself, or if you would like to do the traditional binding, whichever way you're doing, go ahead and do that. If you are doing waterproof canvas, oh my gosh, I just realized I never even explained where if you decided you wanted to add a zipper pocket. So the slip pocket we said was an inch, about between 1.25 inches and 1.3 inches. Wow, I am all over the place. I apologize, guys. If you're gonna do the zipper pocket, you could do the zipper pocket at least 1 inch above your pocket, your slip pocket. If you wanted to, you could lower your slip pocket down to being like 3/4 of an inch above the bottom. Or even, I probably wouldn't go less than 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom. You could do your slip pocket there, and then your zipper pocket could go right about here. So kind of like be like the mid height. So then it's kind of like towards the wider part instead of having to go all the way down. So probably right about here. So the overall height. So from the bottom, the top of the slip pocket is 6 3/4 up. So if you started your zipper pocket between 7 and like 7.5 inches up, so somewhere in like right in that range would be, I think would be a reasonable spot for it, but not completely necessary. But if you want to, you can go ahead and do that too. Sorry about that, guys. Or if you're doing binding with waterproof canvas, I like to cut mine 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches wide. Probably 1.25 inches is easier. I only put what I truly need on the side that I'm going to be sewing from, the side that it's going to be facing up. Everything else is going to be pushed to the back, so then I have lots of extra material back here. So that way I can hopefully not miss it as I'm adding my binding. And then when we go through the curves, I like to add kind of like a little mini, like if you're a quilter, mini mitered corner that's mitered-ish. Well, maybe this won't be a sharp enough corner to truly need a full mitered corner, or an actual mitered corner. I know it's not actually a mitered corner, but so what I mean, if you need to, you could push it in and then push the material back down on itself to give that crease right there. Let me zoom in, sorry guys. So as I was going, if you like push the material and then fold it back on itself, it helps you get around corners and curves, and then you just have that one. Instead of having like multiple little creases, you would just have that one. So I'll probably just leave that. Okay, so you're gonna go around and add your binding all the way around this on the back side. If you're using waterproof canvas, as you get back to the beginning, for me personally, I like to make sure that mine overlap just a little bit. continue adding your clips. Finish it off. Bam. All right. And then because this side does not have any of the lights into it, there we go. This side is seam allowance is just going to be a 1/4 inch. So nice and easy, just like we did before when we were basting it all together. And ooh, do I want to stay with the black thread or do I want to go gray? Ooh, I think I'm gonna go gray. I think I'm gonna switch my colors, but I know I'm kind of a little all over the place, but because I have my black thread in, I don't want to have to put my gray or white in and then have to redo it again. So I'm gonna do the strap really quickly. I know, sorry it's all a little all over the place, but I'm being lazy. So instead of like, normally I like to start with this, but I'm being on the lazy side and didn't want to swap my colors. So pick off the tape. This webbing is so awesome. Look how cool this is. Oh my gosh, I love it. If my tape is, there we go. Have the tape stuck to me. All right, got that. There we go. All right, so then you're gonna grab your 2 swivel cloths and your slide adjuster. We're gonna do our slide adjuster first. So our embossed is the front side, and then the side that has the openings down here is the back. So this side is the front. So we're gonna go up from underneath, go up and over the bar. And then this part is personal preference. I normally just sew a line back and forth across. If you want to pull a little bit more, you can sew an X, you can sew a box with an X, however you want to sew it. And then just sew that down. Okay, once you got that all sewn together, we're going to then, with the wrong side facing up, I like to make sure I hold it here, and then I slide my hand all the way down the webbing just to make sure I don't have any twists. So we're good. And then I'm going to take one of my swivel cloths, I'm going to go through and then pull it back on itself. And again, just double checking that I don't have any twists. And then here we have the one end and then the side that we've already sewn. We're going to go up, over the middle, and back down on the opposite side of that middle bar. So this is what it will look like if I push those other ends up. So we have the 2 and then the middle that's already sewn. And then we're going to slide a little bit excess to get it out of the way. We're going to take our other swivel clasp, and then I like to go from the top. We're going to slide that on, and then we're going to fold the webbing back onto itself, so that way the wrong side goes to the wrong side of the webbing. And then however you sewed it here, you're going to do the same thing to this spot too. Okay, so now that I got my strap, oh my gosh, I love this webbing. I need like a bazillion yards of this. If you guys could like, so hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Miss Alex and Kim. I know you probably can't, but if I could just get this as a continuation of like 10 or 20 yards, like that would be perfect. Instead of the smaller cuts. All right, we got the light gray thread in there. So again, we're just gonna cruise around at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So as you see, as I'm coming around here, I'm like actually physically picking up my bag to make sure that right here is laying flat. And that will help to get around into the curves. And like that, sometimes your binding might want to push away from itself, which we'll see more of when we get to the jelly binding. It's definitely more prevalent in the jelly binding side. Okay, come on, let's do this. Okay, once you guys have your binding sewn on all the way around, go ahead and if you are doing waterproof canvas, trim off your excess on both sides. All right, guys, we got one beautiful looking binding, if I don't say so myself, if I do say so myself, saying the wrong thing. All right, now we're going to grab our front, and just like we did with our back, we're going to line up our notches, the top and the bottom, and then we're going to then clip in all the rest of the curves. Okay, this is what it'll look like once you guys get it all clipped together. Take note, or if you wanted to do it ahead of time, make sure to open your zippers all the way. That's going to be able to help. You can reach inside and help maneuver the bag as much as you need to. We're going to kind of squish it a little bit and find a spot, and we're going to sew around at 1/8 of an inch all the way. Okay, so you can see right here, I have that little bit of a bubble. Let me zoom in for you guys. So you can see right here, that kind of wants to stay up. And so if I just force it to stay there, that's going to cause a pucker. So if I push it over the edge of my fabric so it sticks over, I lift my foot up to help kind of relieve any potential pressure. And I keep everything else flat. Now I've just hopefully reduced that chance for that to become a pucker. Okay, so we got the same thing right here. We got that little bubble. Okay, flatten you out. And again, hopefully that will limit the risk of that becoming a pucker. Sorry, my hand's getting in the way. Just gotta be able to see what I'm doing. There we go. Get around that curve. All right, so I have my hand in the bag. I'm trying to get this curve. Okay, here we go. Make sure the underneath here, can you see how it's all like kind of like bunched up? We want to try to limit all the bunching. We want to try to flatten it out and get it to its rightful shape. That will also help reduce any potential for puckers. And just making sure everything, try to help everything line up. Cool, and we're back on track. Okay, we got that little bump again. Working with the jelly is sometimes a little less forgiving than vinyl, regular vinyl, which is okay. We're gonna make this work. Okay, come on. Okay, push that all out. There we go. Okay, just do a couple stitches. Okay, I need to take myself out. Okay, what do we got going on? Okay, so I definitely missed the corner, which is fine. Okay, let's see if we can get it to go back. Start back here. maybe if we put in a couple little snips. Okay, so I did a couple little snips, nothing super big because I don't want it to potentially come out when we do our final binding. Okay, that seems to be helping to get that curve. Okay, yeah, so definitely doing some, what am I calling? Doing a little snips in these curves will definitely help. I'm gonna go back out a little bit more. I'm just going to try this whole corner again. And I'm going to add some snips all the way through the corner. Okay, let's go. No, it doesn't seem to want to. Because if I push it down in there, that's when things want to get more wavy. We shall see what happens. Sorry, my hand was kind of blocking the view. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Okay, I'm gonna kind of squish the bag a little bit more. Let's zoom you guys back in. All right, take two. Okay. Well, we already got a little bubble, which I'm hoping that will go away. Where's my edge? There's my edge. Okay, so far looking better. Oop. Come on, push out. There we go. Oh yeah, so not to get ahead of myself, but so far so good. There we go, flatten out a little bit. All right, so that one, the second go at it turned out a lot better. So just make sure after you're done, anything that sticks over, go ahead and trim that off. Okay, got it all trimmed up. I did have some sticking up in all three corners, which again, if it keeps me from having a pucker, I'm all for cutting, trimming a little bit out of that corner. So on this side, it all looks pretty darn good. If you want to turn it out and take a look, you're more than welcome to really check. It's not going to be an exact because we still have to add our last binding, but we shall see what happens. All right, now that we got all of our goofiness done, we are going to grab our wires. All right, so from the back side, we are going to stuff the wire down and into that little gap that we made into the pocket. Come on. Okay, where's my forceps? if you have some forceps, this will make life so much easier. Maybe. Okay, maybe I need to grab it a little lower. Oh, come! Hey. Maybe if I go the other direction. Okay, that was way easier. So, note to self, if you're if you have forceps, stick them in from the bottom and then pull the light wire out that way. Golly, that was a pain. Okay, so after you get your wire pulled through, we're going to need to make sure that the wire gets all the way around, and there might even be just like a tiny bit of a gap. This little black part will need to stick out, and then we can go across from there. So we can, if you want to help hold that in place, just make sure you're not pushing more of that out of the way. So yeah, so I'm just gonna have that stay like that. And then it's gonna come across, but before we go across here, we need to sew a 1/4 inch right here, because that's going to help when we go to do our wiring and then we're adding it on. If when we jump over the wire for when we sew it, if it's already sewn back there, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you skip that pre 1/4 inch right there and then you jump over it, then you have a little small area on the outside of your bag that technically isn't going to be sewn. So slide that underneath in the general area. So mine is right in here, wherever yours is going to come across. And you're going to sew that at a 1/4 inch. Okay, once you get it sewn on, it doesn't have to be a very big area. So mine is just about an inch, maybe a little bit more than an inch. So just enough to get it to go across. Oh, and of course my clip came off during that, so double check that. And yay, the 3D printer finally finished. Okay, so make sure that your wire is coming across in the area that you did the little pre-stitch. And then hold that there. You're gonna grab your jelly binding. And so you're gonna go around your entire bag and you're gonna be laying down. You want your wire to sit right on top of this right here. And then your binding is gonna go right over the top of it. And it's gonna be a little awkward, but it will be okay. So you're just trying, and then sometimes more clips are better because they will help hold your the binding in place, because jelly binding, it does have a tendency to want to push away from the edge of your bag here. So that's where when you're sewing around this, and I will point it out as I'm sewing too, it's really important to make sure that your jelly is all the way up against your bag, because that will change your seam allowance. Because what you're sewing along using this as your guide, and the more it pushes away from your bag, the smaller seam allowance you're going to actually have on your actual bag. Okay, so just make sure, take your time going around, make sure you really get your wire in place. Your jelly is clipped on. And the whole mitered corner thing, like I do for the waterproof canvas, kind of really doesn't really want to work that well here. So an option when you get into your corners is to do some relief cuts on the inside of your jelly. That will help your curves. Sorry, you guys don't really want to look at the back of my hand. There we go. Ah, much better. Much better. Okay, there we go. So yeah, you're just gonna go all the way around, clipping your lights and jelly into place. Okay, as you guys are coming up to the end, so that we're gonna have just that tiny bit of a gap. Sorry, not the back of my hand, so right here. So about the width of my fingernail, so not too bad. If we would have gone, if we wouldn't have had that black showing on the other side, then we would have had a much bigger gap. So make sure with jelly binding, sometimes it does not like to cooperate if you have it overlapped. So I tend to just have the ends meet each other. So make sure to keep the rest of that all lined up, squish it down. Add the last bit of your clips. Oop, I need more. All right, so I can now take that one off. Okay, so now we're gonna try to find a spot to push this underneath to get it going. And we're going to sew this at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So the 3/8 is really important. Again, like I said earlier, because of the EL wire, it pushes the binding that much further away from your bag itself. So if you only do a 1/4 inch, you're really only doing an 1/8 inch on this guy. So there we go. Find your spot. Okay, there's my 3/8. Alrighty. And then as you're going, just take your time. There is no rush to this. And instead of using my pokey tool, I'm using my finger. So I apologize if my hand is in the way, but my finger is going to help keep my the wire and the jelly binding up against the bag so it doesn't push away. So see that big old pucker right there? I am just, and it's not really a pucker, it's just a bubble in the jelly. So I am just going to, there we go, make a little snip into that. And now I can lay a little bit flatter. May not be the most gorgeous thing in the entire world, but it'll be a little bit easier to maneuver around. All right, come on, baby. All right, so that one, it feels like my EL light pushed away from that corner. So I'm gonna have to double check that one when we're all said and done. And then we are coming up to where our wire comes across. So my hand is on the inside of the bag and I can feel where that wire is. And then plus with that tiny bit of a gap right here, so you can see how much it wants to like naturally just push away. So that's why it's really important to keep your finger on for your, to keep it in place. And then I can feel it. And what you want to do, you do not want to sew over it. Okay, where am I? Okay, I think I'm like right there. So I'm going to pick my needle up, push my binding back on. Okay. Okay, I jumped it. Okay. Okay, we're past the most difficult spot, which was going to be jumping that wire that's coming across. Okay, so now all we have is a couple straightaways and one more corner. Okay, so looking at my bag, I missed, so this edge right here, I was fighting it, trying to get it to stay in place. So I missed that edge right here. So I need to go back through, and I can do it from this side now and then push that down and I can sew that. So that will be pretty easy. Everything else looks really good. And then the one corner where I felt like it did slide, it did. Because you can see where the edge of the dark, oops, sorry, out of frame. So you can kind of see this dark right here. No, maybe it did do it, because that dark, that's the one nice part about basting your stuff together with a dark thread, because that's our black thread that we did our basting on right here that I can see. And so I'm kind of close to it in a couple areas. So it's not a full 1/4 inch, but it still looks pretty darn good. Here in this corner, there's a little bit of an area where like that's really close. So I might, now that I'm not having to push it down, I might go through this corner again to make it, to try to get a little bit better of a 1/4 inch. Yeah, and even this upper corner, I get some, you know what? I'm going to trim off my excess. I'm going to fix this bottom corner here, and then I'm going to turn it out and see what it looks like. If it looks ugly and I don't like it, I'll undo it and then try to do it again. And if it looks good, I'm just going to leave it, because at that point I'm like, I'm good. Okay, so let's get this down. Oh, you are like, even now, you are so stubborn. Okay, so now that I'm thinking about it, another option, if you really struggle holding your jelly in place, it would take a lot, but double-sided stick tape. You could easily put double-sided stick tape around the whole thing, and then that way it holds your jelly in place, which would be fantastic, but it's just like, it would take a lot of double-sided stick tape. But better than having your finger cramp from pushing it, holding it in place and really pushing down on it for so hard. Okay. All right, well, that piece is now fixed. I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess of the jelly, and then we'll turn this bag right side out. Okay, jelly binding is all trimmed up. Now for the last part. Okay guys, here it is. Now we just need to grab our battery pack. And because the wiring is a little bit lower than normal, might be a little tricky getting it all put in. Okay, which direction are the prongs going? Okay, so that's the side of the prongs. Okay. I can do this. Okay, I got that piece. Okay, come on. This is the one difficult part. Now that the bag's all done, is just getting the wire connected. Okay, finally got it. Jeez. Okay, now let's fix the bag again. All right. Because it's not dark enough in here, I will show you guys the outside of this bag first. So grabbing our webbing. Look at this combination. Ah, those strap anchors, the webbing. Look at that vinyl, these zipper pulls. Like, oh my gosh. And look at the back. Oh my gosh, this bag is just freaking gorgeous. And then after you're done, if you take like a really small iron and then put it on the inside of the bag, and you can press it, and it'll help to get rid of those wrinkles. But holy cow. This just is absolutely amazing. Like, this is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna go to a dark place. You guys, this thing is freaking awesome. Oh my gosh, I can't get over how cool this light up bag is. Now I really want to go to the Wizarding World. Like, you have to go to the one in Orlando, just because I've been to the one in California and it's just like, it's okay. I've never been to the one in Florida, but the one from pictures and stuff, it just looks freaking amazing. So like, this would be so awesome to have there. And then at night, just like, oh, it's so freaking cool. Well, thank you guys for watching the tutorial of the Harry Potter box, or the Deathly Hallows, I should say. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I apologize for my multiple corrections on things,
but I hope it didn't mess anybody up. So I hope you guys enjoy your Deathly Hallows bag. I know I am absolutely in love with this thing. This will probably be one of the bags that I actually like keep. It's just this vinyl. Like that vinyl is absolutely gorgeous. So if you guys made it this far, I hope you guys can consider to like and subscribe so that way you guys can get notified of future K&A sew-alongs and cut and sews. Thanks for watching.